So welcome to Transmissions on Ben TV. My name's Rebecca and I am the Diversity Director of Globe Melbourne. Today I'm here to speak with Ryan and Louise from the Tilde Film Festival. Welcome, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So what is the Tilde Film Festival?
The Tilde Film Festival is Melbourne Trans and Gender Diverse Film Festival. Yes, that's what it is. We've been around since 2014. And we're a film festival that showcases content that was terrible. We're a film festival that showcases the work of trans and gender diverse filmmakers, as well as content that includes trans and gender diverse characters.
That's great. So how did you both get involved?
I guess I got involved from the get-go, actually, when it was founded. I've sort of been on the periphery of the festival, helping out with bits and bobs, and just last year I came on board as the festival director. So yeah, I've been around since it started in 2014.
I found out about it in the first year because they ran a possible campaign to raise funds for that first festival, and I donated to that, and part of that was to get tickets, so I went along and filled out a survey where I asked if you wanted to volunteer at future festivals, so I said yes, and then they got in touch with me, and I started working on the 2015 festival in around August that year.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So the name's quite interesting. Where does that come from?
Tilde, it actually comes from, it's actually the little squiggle that's in the top left of your keyboard. It's apparently a mathematical symbol, which I actually just learned this morning. And I mean, in the context of Tilde, it sort of represents something that's like a neither this nor that, sort of approximate something, which reflects sort of what the film festival is about.
Yep.
Yeah,
and we feel like there's also a little bit of a cheeky nod to Tilda Swinton because she's sort of like an androgynous figure. It's not really that, but it's like a little...
Yeah, a little bit on the side.
Yeah.
And it's often mispronounced as Tilde, so we use Tilda Swinton, so no, actually it's pronounced Tilde.
Yeah.
So it's quite helpful.
So you've been around since 2014. Did you want to tell us a little bit more about the history?
Sure. It was founded in 2014, and it was founded by a group of trans and gender diverse people and allies to sort of meet a need to... It sort of is a twofold effect. To showcase the work of trans and gender diverse filmmakers and trans and gender diverse content, but also to bring together trans and gender diverse communities, and I say communities because there are so many different communities. So it sort of functions as a meeting place as well as a film festival.
Yeah. And
we saw a need there that wasn't being fulfilled. And there are several examples of this overseas as well. There's Transcreen in Amsterdam. There's also the Sydney Transgender International Film Festival, and actually since Tilde's begun, several other film festivals have popped up all over the world, Europe and the States most especially. There's several festivals that have been founded since Tilde started in 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really important program, and the presence of trans and gender diverse people within film in general is quite important.
Yeah.
Do you think the coming together of the organisation helps with that community feel and the importance for trans and gender diverse people to feel important?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's definitely a lack of content that is diverse and complex and tells sort of complex stories about trans and gender diverse people's lives. And that was also part of the impetus for the festival. Most films about trans and gender diverse people are made by non-trans and gender diverse people for non-trans and gender diverse audiences. And we really wanted to sort of shift that by sort of foregrounding content which speaks to trans and gender diverse people, and also work that's created by trans and gender diverse people. So we're interested in sort of supporting filmmakers and artists as well as sort of the content itself. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think similarly it's kind of important to us, like a lot of stories around trans narratives can be pretty depressing or like quite confronting, and so it's quite important to us that we also showcase films that they might be made by a trans filmmaker but they've actually got nothing to do with trans content, or films that show like different angles and slightly more uplifting stories as well, so that we're kind of seeing a lot of the different angles of what the trans experience is, not just that sort of that sort of dominant narrative that can be a bit tough to watch over multiple days.
Yeah. Do you think the idea of the way trans and gender diverse people perceived in film and media has changed over time? Do you think it's improving and they're being seen in a more positive light?
I think it is improving. I think we've seen the change even in our programming since we've begun. There's still a lack of certain kinds of content. We find it quite hard to get sort of narrative fiction films about trans men, for instance, or anything that's outside of trans masculinity and trans femininity. So sort of genderqueer films about genderqueer people are still quite rare.
Yep.
We get more documentaries than we do sort of fiction films as well. But that's all been shifting and sort of improving since we've begun. Yes, definitely. And another sort of piece of that is making sure that trans and gender diverse people are represented in the industry, as practitioners, as creatives, as actors. And we're seeing a slight shift now, I think, and hopefully that will improve into the future. Yeah.
It's amazing, definitely. So what can people expect this year from the festival?
This year we've got about 30 films. So about 8 features, 20 shorts, a couple of mid-length films. We're also going to have some excellent social events. So we always make sure we've got some really good social events that are attached to the festival. Because, a big reason people come along to our festival is actually just to hang out with each other and meet each other. And that's been a really wonderful thing about the festival, actually, that we just bring all these people together and people are really excited to see each other. And it's really lovely. So parties and social events, also a panel this year. It's
exciting.
Great.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
So where will the festival be held this year?
Oh, actually out at Footscray Community Arts Centre for the first time ever. So we've actually just become a company in residence there, so I work out of a little office space, and folks at Footscray Community Arts are very excited that we're going to be out there. I think it's going to be great. We've got a bigger space. We've got 2 different screening spaces, which means we're going to be able to grow our program even further. It's a really supportive venue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And so when will it be? When will the festival be?
Oh, maybe I'll let you take that one.
So this year's festival is going to run from the 26th to the 29th of October.
Yep.
It's usually, which is a Thursday to a Sunday. Usually in the past we've run Friday to Sunday, but we've added an extra day this year just because we've really seen a growth in the content that we're receiving and wanting to add extra screenings. So yeah, we're excited about extending the festival for
Fantastic.
a longer time.
Yeah.
And so how can people get involved if they want to volunteer or they want to attend? How do people get involved?
So we always have, Tilde is a volunteer organisation, so our core team is predominantly made up of volunteers. And then we also grow for the festival itself because we bring on a whole team of volunteers to help with front of house and ushering and greeting people. So we will be recruiting around about, in September we'll start, so about a month out from the festival, we'll start recruiting volunteers. So if anyone wants to come along and do a couple of shifts front of house or help out with the events, then they should definitely get in touch with us. You can email us at info@tildemelbourne.com drop us a line. We'd love to have you involved.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like the event's going to be amazing this year, and thank you so much for you both coming in today. Ryan and Louise, I appreciate your time and looking forward to the festival.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Thanks very much, and thank you for coming to Transmissions on Bent TV.